Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking a little bit more about Battlefield 4, but I actually have a few different things that I want to talk to you guys about. Now first off, if you don't know, we now actually have a chance to play the Final Stand DLC all over again, even though it's still not released yet. Yep, if you do have access to CTE, if DICE think you're worthy of being on the PC Master Race, then you can once again play Final Stand in what's now known as the beta. So we are seeing a beta for this DLC, so it seems like DICE really don't want to mess up the last DLC for Battlefield 4. They don't want to get the legacy of Battlefield 4, which you could probably argue is already ruined, even more destroyed with the final DLC. So we're seeing a lot of testing, a new patch. So if you do have CTE, if you are on PC, you can now download it and play all of the maps. I think a lot of different game modes, all the weapons and vehicles are once again back in the game. If you're on console, then unfortunately DICE are just telling you to suck it, because it looks like you still can't play this DLC, so you will have to wait, and we still don't have a release date yet. But apart from that, there isn't too much to report on. It's practically exactly the same as it was in the previous CTE version a couple of weeks ago. But in the next few days, I'll put a video together, I'll take a look at that Final Stand beta, and we'll see if there's anything actually worth talking about. But today, I want to talk to you guys about this weapon. This is the L85A2, and obviously recently, with the latest patch, we've seen a lot of changes to certain weapons. Of course, this is something I have already spoke to you guys about, but I want to talk to you guys about what I now think is the best bullpup in the game. Now, this is a gun I have played with a lot in Battlefield 4, so I do know this weapon pretty well. In fact, it is in my top 5 weapons. I was a big fan of it in Battlefield 3, and I was very pleased when we saw it make a return with China Rising into Battlefield 4. Now, I did actually once get about 50% of the way through making a review of this weapon for you guys and never ended up posting it. But of course, now this weapon's seen such a massive change, it's definitely worth taking a look at again. Now, of course, if you weren't aware, bullpups can actually fall into different categories. You can get bullpup assault rifles, PDWs, carbines, even bullpup sniper rifles. So I should probably say this is what I think is the best bullpup assault rifle. Now, a bullpup weapon is basically where the magazine loads in behind the trigger mechanism. Now, some bullpups do have a forward ejection system, so the shell is moved down the barrel and then flicked out the weapon further down, but some of them just eject the shell right above where you load in the magazine, which is the case with the L85. As you can see, the charging handle on the right-hand side is right above where the magazine loads in. Now, as standard as a natural side effect of the design of these weapons, bullpups usually in Battlefield do have a little bit of a slower reload time. Of course, having to lift the weapon up, release the magazine from behind the trigger, put a new mag in and then bring the weapon back down is a slower process than using a standard AR type magazine system. So that is one of the biggest side effects, and usually in Battlefield 4 at least, these weapons tend to do better in bigger, wider open maps. With that slower reload time, probably won't be as much of an issue. Of course, if you're playing something like Operation Lock or Operation Metro, where it's going to be a complete infantry fest, where you're going to get shot absolutely all of the time, 24/7, having a weapon that reloads pretty slow isn't going to help you out. Having something like the 416, the Ace-23 that loads like a standard rifle from the front is going to be much quicker and help you out. But let's go ahead and take a look at the changes this weapon has seen take place to it in the latest patch. Now, as you can see, all of those changes there in green are positive things, and that one red one is the only negative thing, and that's the actual same change we saw for most assault rifles in the game, taking the maximum damage from 25 down to 24, which, as I said before, doesn't sound much, but it does make a big difference. It means that killing a player with max health now takes 5 shots rather than 4. So apart from that one negative change which you see across all assault rifles, this weapon, as you can see, has had some real major buffs. But have they actually made a massive difference to the weapon in game? Now, before we saw this patch, I thought this weapon was pretty accurate at range. Its slow rate of fire of only 750 rounds per minute did make it very manageable. It allowed you to take out targets at a long distance, which, as I said, seems to be the main positive about all the bullpups in Battlefield 4, at least in the assault class. They do seem very good at long range shooting. Of course, the SAR-21, pretty good at long range shooting now, especially since the patch, and even the AUG-A3, again, pretty good at long range shooting. But this weapon now has actually seen some more improvements to make it even better at taking out targets at long distances. So we've now seen a change in the lateral recoil from 0.25 to 0.225, so may not seem a lot, literally a change of 0.025, but of course if you are firing at targets pretty far away, those slight changes can make a lot of difference between actually hitting the target and not hitting the target. But on top of that, which I think has made a massive difference, we've now seen the vertical recoil change from 0.43 to 0.37, so actually a change of 0.06 there again. these numbers may seem minuscule, but again, if you are firing at targets very far away, it can make a big difference. And of course, if you add in the fact that we've seen visual recoil completely removed from the game now, which can have a big effect if you are firing at targets far away, your entire reticle could be moving on and off the target. Having all of these things added together can actually make a massive difference. And I now find at long distances, you can actually just spam the trigger. You don't have to burst fire or even have much control over your firing. You can just hold the trigger down and you will actually hit targets at very long distances, which does make this weapon pretty much super effective at taking out targets far away. Now, with these changes to recoil and the fact it's a bullpup weapon has actually also made it better if you are shooting at targets while strafing. So if you, like me, constantly are on the move trying to take out targets while moving, you don't actually try and stay still for very long. A lot of people who play with me do complain that I actually move around maps way too much. I should probably try and pick an area and defend it. Instead, I just run around like a madman, so I do fire a lot while strafing. So this type of weapon, a bullpup, with that new recoil model does make it very effective at taking out targets while still on the move. But with all that said, this weapon of course does have some downsides. As I said, it's definitely not a weapon I would try and use on the likes of Operation Locker, Operation Metro. To be honest, even on this map Flood Zone now in a game of domination, I'm surprised I actually got this weapon to work quite well for me. That slow reload time of I think nearly 3.7 seconds on a completely empty magazine is very, very slow. Of course, having to raise the weapon and put that magazine in behind the trigger, but then also turn the weapon over and release the bolt catch is a pretty slow process. So this weapon does have some downsides, but if you are going to be playing some massive open maps of maybe Conquest Large, I would definitely recommend giving this weapon a try. It really has probably now become, I think, the best bullpup assault rifle in the game. So go away guys, try this weapon out, come back, tell me what you think. If you agree with me, tell me down in the comments below. Maybe you don't, I'd love to hear from you. Which assault rifle do you think is the best bullpup and why? And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, it massively does help me out. And if you would like to see some more coverage of Final Stand, the Final Stand beta, tell me in the comments below. But in the meantime guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon!